As a massage practitioner, as a nurse practitioner, as a medical doctor, as a pharmacist, there's a certain scope of our practice, or their practice, that's defined, semi-well defined, and then therefore anything beyond that is beyond the scope of practice. So now you're outside of that protection of the gray zone, and that's where we can get in trouble. So as a lay herbalist, we're actually much better off, much safer than many practitioners. That, again, that's starting to change as well, because as herbs are becoming more a part of the fabric of the culture, people are more accepting of them, then there's less paranoia and there's less frenetic desire to regulate. You know, docs practicing with herbs, or pharmacists that are maybe dabbling in herbal medicine. There's, you know, 20 years ago, there was a strong movement to go after people, health professionals that were prescribing herbs. The worst case was, and this is just to illustrate how these things were working and still by the letter of the law can work today. The worst case in my memory is a gentleman named Bruce Halstead. He was a MD, and not just a run-of-the-mill MD. This guy was probably the world's leading expert on ciguatera fish poisoning. He wrote like a 6-volume or a 4-volume treatise on a disease that was endemic to the tropics that nobody really cared about, but it was a severe, severe disease. And this guy wrote the most seminal work on it that's ever been published, or at least up until the time he died. So he wasn't your run-of-the-mill doc. But he also practiced nutritional medicine, a la kind of Linus Pauling, high-dose vitamin C and orthomolecular medicine and things like that. And unfortunately, he was a rabble-rouser. And so he would act as a witness against the medical profession for malpractice things, and basically talk against what he believed was bad medicine while they went after him with the vengeance. And middle of the night, went to his house, 3 o'clock in the morning, broke down his door, went up into his bedroom, dragged him out of bed, put him in handcuffs, and put him in the car. There were like 15 police cars at his house. At the same time, they batter-rammed in the door of his office in Loma Linda, and wheeled out all of his client records, like 15, 20 years worth of client records. At the end of the day, they charged him with practicing herbal medicine, which was beyond the scope of his practice. And the reason, there was 19 cases of prescribing sun chlorella to cancer patients for nutritional support while they were undergoing conventional cancer therapy. That was the charge. And in all cases, and this is what he testified in court, in all cases, he said, I wasn't treating cancer. These people came specifically asking for nutritional support, and I gave it to them. The bottom line was he was sentenced to 8 years in jail. His sentence was stayed by the judge, which means he didn't have to serve a day in prison, but they said, if you practice in this manner again, we can reinstate this sentence, so you'll go to jail. And so the next 20 years of his life ruined his practice, ruined a big part of his life. I spoke with him on the phone several times, and his life was never the same again. He passed away about 5 or so years ago, about 5 years ago, I think, or something like that. Anyways, that's the worst case scenario. Who's from Colorado? Somebody said, you from Colorado? Here's another case that illustrates one question you asked and one question you asked about how to stay out of trouble, with what you're doing. And another case is Hannah Kroger, who is a very well-known traditional healer in Colorado, and she had a health food store on the mall, down on whatever that mall is, right in the middle of Boulder. And people would come to her, they'd line up, they'd be lined up outside when the store opened up, just lined up down the causeway there, just waiting to get in. long story short, she'd whip them up and down with a pendulum, or a rubber stop or something, pendulum or something, and give them a bunch of colon cleansing stuff and blood purifiers and liver detoxifiers and coffee enemas or whatever she would give. I don't know what her protocols were. I'm just kind of, that's not far from the truth. It's not completely accurate, but she would act as their doc. Long story short, somebody stung her. There was a local doc who stung her, sent their receptionist in, and Hannah did her diagnosis and said, here, go ahead and do this stuff, it'll get rid of all your ills, and they turned her into the state for practicing medicine without a license. Now she claimed that she was a minister. She's some kind of minister. I don't know if it was Unitarian Church or what church affiliation she had, but she claimed that it was freedom of religion, and a lot of people do claim this.